1 Top 60 phim Hey, OM and number 7929, Trung, Han Siu Hot, M and number 7899, INH and number 7845, T 2022 Tren, Top 60 phim Hey M and number 7899, INH and number 7845, T, and number 273, Ang Hot Tren Netflix 2022. Kungsum phim L and number 7867, Hey, Han and number 273, and number 7897, NG Bomb T and number 7845, NM and number 7929, Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin Han Chu and number 7889, C, Phim C and number 7893, Trang Trung Chu and number 7889, C, 2. Lo and number 7841, T Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin Chin K and number 7883, Chapter, Netflix Co NH and number 7919, NG Cao Chu and number 7879, NH and number 7845, PD and number 7851, N and number 273, and number 7871, NN and number 7895, IC and number 7847, NNHI and number 7873, UH and number 417, NM and number 7897, TB and number 7897, FIM-M and number 7899, ICO-TH and number 7875, K and number 7875, TR and number 7885, NLO and number 7841, TFIM-T and number 7897, IPH and number 7841, M, FIM-Y COA, COA-H and number 7885, CVI and number 7877, NT and number 432, and number 7903, NGVAR and number 7845, TNHI and number 7873, UTH and number 7875, LO and number 7841, I3. Phim Bomb T and number 7845, N Hollywood Trang Web Netflix Chin TH and number 7913, CGI and number 7901, and number 273, I, CAC B and number 7897, Phim Bomb T and number 7845, N Muahi C and number 7911, A Hollywood and number 273, S and number 7861, N Co and number 273, and number 7875, B and number 7841, NTH and number 432, and number 7903, NGTH and number 7913, C Quan N and number 259, M. NH and number 7919, NGB and number 7897, Phim Bung N and number 7893, V and number 7899, ICAC Fahan and number 273, and number 7897, NGVA Dan Sao N and number 7893, I Titanium and number 7871, NG4. Phim Han Chu and number 7889, C 2021 Hey Gay Chapter and number 7845, N and number 273, and number 7897, NG Man and number 7843, NH, Momo rating 5.0, 1299, 5. C and number 7853, PNH and number 7853, TM and number 7899, I45B and number 7897, Phim Han Chu and number 7889, C Hey Tren Netflix, Klook Blog January 20, 2022, K-Drama Chapter and number 432, Abayogi and number 7901, LAH and number 7871, T-Hot, CAC M and number 7885, T-Phim, HY Kung Klook and number 273, I and number 7875, M Dan 45B and number 7897, Phim Han Chu and number 7889, C Hey Tren Netflix and number 273, Ang Lam M and number 432, Alam Jo M and number 7841, NGX6. 35B and number 7897, Phim Trung Chu and number 7889, C Hey B and number 7841, N Co TH and number 7875, and number 80 to 20, K and number 80 to 21, Trend Netflix, Klook January 21, 2022, C and number 7853, PNH and number 7853, T and Han Kak Phim Trung Chu and number 7889, C Hey, Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin Trung Chu and number 7889, C, Phim Trui and number 7879, N Trung Chu and number 7889, C, Phim Hoa NG and number 7919, and number 273, Ang Hot Trend Netflix 7. Phim Hot T and number 7853, P4 Viet Sub. High and number 7879, PS and number 297, on TR and number 259, NG, Moon Knight B and number 7843, N and number 272, and number 7865, PhD NG and number 432, and number 7901, ID and number 417, I, The Batman T and number 7853, P14, Viet Sub TH and number 7843, THI Tien H and number 7841, Tran Tien H and number 7841, Who Rules the 8? Top 10 NH and number 7919, NG Phim Hot Trend Netflix Ma B and number 7841, N Kongnan B and number 7887, L and number 7905. Netflix LAD and number 7883, Chapter V and number 7909, H and number 7897, IT and number 7909, NH and number 7919, NGB and number 7897, Phim Hot and number 273, Ang and number 273, and number 432, and number 7907, CR and number 7845, TNHI and number 7873, UNG and number 432, and number 7901, I and number 432, ACHU and number 7897, NG High and number 7879, NA. The End of the F-ing World, Stranger Things Money Heist and number 80 to 11, 5E and number 7909, 9. Phim Hot TKL, Home, Facebook Phim Hot TKL 148946 likes 32422 talking about this. Phim Chow A and number 273, and number 7863, CS and number 7855, C Du Kong Tai TKLGI and number 7919, B and number 7843, N Qui and number 7873, N Fat Han T and number 7841, IVI and number 7879, T Nom 10. 2B and number 7897, Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin C and number 7911, Ahan Chu and number 7889, C Titanium and number 7871, PT and number 7909, C Hot NH and number 7845, T Trong B and number 7843, NG, Mar 24, 2022, T and number 432, and number 417, NGT and number 7921, and number 80 to 20, H and number 7865, N Ho Chapter and number 7889, N Kong S and number 7903, and number 80 to 21, C and number 7911, SBS and number 273, GI and number 7919, V and number 7919, NGV and number 7883, Tri TH and number 7913, 2 Trong Dan Sach Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin. Kak and Goi Sao AHN Ho Sop VA Kim Sejong, 11. Tag, Phim Hot, KENH14 Phim Hot, Tin T and number 7913, C Hin and number 7843, NHM and number 7899, INH and number 7845, T Luan and number 273, and number 432, and number 7907, CC and number 7853, PNH and number 7853, T Lean T and number 7909, C, Chapter and number 7911, and number 273, and number 7873, Phim Hot, M and number 7897, T and number 273, O and number 7841, NC and number 7855, T Trong NH and number 7883, P Tim L and number 7847, ML and number 7841, C, B and number 7897, phim VI and number 7879, TRAM and number 7855, T Cock and number 273, I22N and number 259, M12. PHIM Hot, Phim Online Bulletin and number 7893, IHOA NH and number 7841, CHO and number 7841, THO and number 7841, Atom by Eve Live, 2022. Atom by Eve Live, 2022. D and number 7909, CV and number 7885, NG Trong Toy Autumn Girl, 2021, Viet Sub, HD, 13. TR and number 7885, NB and number 7897, Phim Hot Chi and number 7871, UR and number 7841, P Trui and number 7873, N Hin, 24H April 18, 2022, Phim Chi Rap 2022, GI and number 7899, ITHI and number 7879, UNH and number 7919, NG TAC PH and number 7849, M and number 273, I and number 7879, N and number 7843, NHG and number 7871, UR and number 7841, PM and number 7899, INH and number 7845, T, and number 273, and number 7863, CS and number 7855, CNH and number 7845, TC and number 7911, ATH and number 7871, GI and number 7899, IVAVI and number 7879, T Nam Trong N and number 259, M 2011.14. 5B and number 7897, Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin Han Chu and number 7889, C Hot NH and number 7845, T and number 273, and number 7847, UN and number 259, M 2022 and number 272, I High and number 7879, NC and number 361, NG and number 273, Ang LAM and number 7897, TB and number 7897, Phim Han Chu and number 7889, CC and number 7921, C Hot and number 273, and number 7847, UN and number 259, M 2022, and number 273, and number 7841, T rating CAOC and number 7911, ANA and number 273, AIKBS. D and number 432, and number 7899, IB and number 7889, IC and number 7843, NH Tri and number 7873, U and number 273, and number 7841, I Josian, TAC PH and number 7849, M Trui and number 7873, N. Duration, 319. Posted, January 11, 2022 15. T and number 7893, NGH and number 7907, P Top 10 plus B and number 7897, Phim Trui and number 7873, N Hin VI and number 7879, T Nam He NH and number 7845, T Kai and number 7871, N, rating 4.7, 9.